Welcome back my YouTube channel Old Coin Z collection today, the 1990 Polish telephone token. A significant collectible item, has a rich history tied to the social, economic, and political context of Poland at the time. These tokens represent a unique intersection of Poland's transformation as a nation following the end of communism and the transition to a market economy. The year 1990 marked a pivotal point in Polish history. Poland had just emerged from decades of communist rule, which had been imposed by the Soviet Union after World War II. The fall of the Iron Curtain in 1989, following years of political and social upheaval, led to the peaceful end of communism in Poland. The country's first partially free elections in June 1989 resulted in a government that was committed to sweeping reforms. These reforms aimed to dismantle the state-controlled economy and transition Poland toward a market-driven system, setting the stage for the country's future prosperity. This period of transition was marked by significant challenges, including inflation, shortages, and a general sense of uncertainty as Poland navigated the complexities of a newly established capitalist economy. Many sectors of the economy, including telecommunications, were being restructured and modernized to accommodate the new economic realities. The telephone system was one of the areas in which major changes were implemented in 1990. As part of the reform process, Poland's telecommunication services were undergoing a modernization. At the time, many telephone systems, especially public payphones, still relied on old systems that were difficult to maintain and outdated. Public payphones were widespread in Poland, and they were a crucial means of communication, especially as private telephones were not as common due to the costs associated with obtaining a home phone line. TO addressed the limitations of traditional coins and paper currency for use in public payphones. Poland introduced a new form of currency, the telephone token. These tokens were designed to be used in place of coins for dialing on public payphones. The 1990 Polish telephone tokens were introduced as a means to streamline the process of using public phones, particularly in urban areas where they were more commonly found. The tokens were made of metal, typically brass or copper, and were designed with specific features to prevent counterfeiting. Their value was initially set to correspond to the cost of a local phone call, allowing users to insert the token into a payphone machine for the correct number of calls. The 1990 Polish telephone token had a distinctive design that made it easily recognizable. It was circular in shape, with a diameter of around 30 millimeters. The tokens typically featured the Polish national coat of arms, a symbol of Poland's sovereignty and independence, prominently displayed on one side. On the other side, the token would usually bear the denomination, the year of minting, 1990, and the word telephone, along with any other relevant inscriptions. These tokens were not just utilitarian. They were also symbols of Poland's journey toward modernization. The design and production of the tokens reflected Poland's commitment to creating a new infrastructure for communication in a rapidly changing society. Initially, the 1990 Polish telephone tokens were valued at around 500 zloty. At the time, the value of the zloty had been subject to inflation and changes, particularly as the country was undergoing economic reforms. Due to inflation, the zloty had a fluctuating value, and these telephone tokens did not retain their purchasing power in the same way traditional currency might have. However, the historical value of the tokens was appreciated by collectors as they became symbols of a transitional era in Poland's history. Despite their initial value being quite modest in relation to their function, the tokens have since gained popularity among collectors. This has been due in part to the fact that they represent a moment in history where Poland was transitioning from a communist regime to a democratic, market-oriented society. In the years following their introduction, they have become valuable artifacts of this transformative time. The 1990 Polish telephone token has evolved into a sought-after item among collectors, particularly those interested in the history of Poland and the wider Eastern European region during the end of the Cold War. As such, the token has developed into more than just a tool for making phone calls. It has become a piece of history, symbolizing the period of transformation that Poland underwent in the 1990s. That since the late 1990s, the value of these tokens has increased significantly in the collector's market. With an estimated value of $500 in certain cases, the telephone token is considered an important collector's item. Its value is determined by various factors, including rarity, condition, and historical significance. Collectors of Polish numismatics, historical enthusiasts, and those interested in the economic history of Poland are particularly keen on acquiring these tokens. While the token's intrinsic value as a currency was tied to the cost of a local phone call, its extrinsic value as a collectible artifact has grown over time, as it encapsulates an important moment in Poland's modernization and post-communist transition. The tokens also serve as a tangible connection to the era when Poland was embracing new forms of communication, even as the country was still finding its place in a rapidly changing world. The widespread use of telephone tokens in Poland did not last long. By the mid-1990s, the expansion of mobile phones and the continued development of modern communication infrastructure made the use of payphones increasingly obsolete. The tokens were phased out as public telephones were converted to accept regular coins and, eventually, as mobile phones became the primary means of communication. Today, the 1990 Polish telephone tokens are no longer used in everyday life, but they remain a part of Poland's historical and cultural heritage. They represent an era of change and development, capturing a snapshot of the challenges and opportunities Poland faced as it shifted from communism to a democratic society. The 1990 Polish telephone token, originally introduced as a practical solution for paying for public phone calls in a changing economy, has transformed into an important collector's item that tells the story of Poland's transition from communism to a market economy. With its distinctive design, historical significance, and limited circulation, it holds both monetary and sentimental value for collectors and history enthusiasts alike. The token's journey from a utilitarian object to a valuable piece of numismatic history highlights the ways in which small, everyday items can capture the essence of a nation's larger historical shifts.